Will Joel Embiid request a trade after the Sixers' chaotic season? Because they really didn't do anything in free agency, and they really didn't get better. It was just a lot of drama over this offseason, and they just had some drama that happened this past few days between their general manager, Daryl Morey, and James Harden regarding the max contract, if you will, that James Harden was expecting to receive. It turns out that he went out and said Daryl Morey is a liar and this and that, and which cost him a fine of $100,000, but the NBPA is looking to dispute that fine anyways. But
I mean, you know, on the fine, like, I mean, I don't know why they're, like, disputing it. You can't just go out and calling your GM a liar.
Yeah, like, you can't be doing stuff like that. Yeah, I mean,
and not expect a little bit of punishment. I mean, maybe if they suspended him, that would have been overboard, but, like, a little fine, like, he got $100K.
I mean, yeah, of course he got it, but I don't know. I mean, if I'm a millionaire and I get fined $100K, I may not stress about it, but I'm just like, dang. Like, that's a pretty good hunk of money.
That's still 100 bands.
Like, yeah, I mean, that is good. That's a good amount of money to lose. But the point is that Joel Embiid has been here for over a decade at the very least, and he's never won a championship. He's never made it to a conference finals. And before we went to break, as I mentioned, this could be one of those Damian Lillard situations where he's loyal to Philly, but then when he gets up to his mid-30s, where it's like, okay, I've been with Philly all this time. I have not accomplished anything. What do I need to do? And I'm encouraging Joel Embiid to get out of Philly due to the simple fact that you're not going to win in Philly. I mean, you're just not. Yeah. I mean, now, I would say getting James Harden did benefit them a lot. And
did it?
I'm not sure. I mean,
here's the thing. What more did they do with him without him?
I mean, okay, when they traded for James Harden, can we not say, okay, let me ask you this. When you look at Joel Embiid with Philly, do you think Philly was a better team with Ben Simmons in his prime, or even when they had James Harden?
I mean, they were a number one seed with Ben Simmons. But granted, Joel Embiid did become an MVP with James Harden as well.
And James Harden took over the game that Ben Simmons couldn't really do because, as I mentioned, shooting is crucial in today's NBA. And we saw it against Boston where James Harden took over games, and you could sit there and say, yeah, Ben Simmons wouldn't have been able to take over the game like that. And again, James Harden,
he took over a couple games.
Yeah, but I'm just saying he doesn't impact the game like James Harden does. And I'm not sure if it's the Doc Rivers effect, where okay, you up 3-2 and then you lose the lead. I'm not sure if that's how they lost against Boston, or Boston just came out and did what they supposed to do, which they did. But I'm not sure what the issue was. But I think Philly is a better team with Philly, with James Harden than Ben Simmons. So the point is that
is it still enough for Joel Embiid to say that he should stay?
And I mean, and look, I don't think the relationship between Daryl Morey and James Harden, I think that relationship is cooked. Because, like you say, you went out your way to call Daryl Morey a liar. You've known this guy pretty much throughout your entire career in the NBA, throughout your days in Houston, and now you're here in Philly. So I think that relationship is cooked. And so I feel like eventually they will trade James Harden. And so it's back to square one where Joel is the guy and you're surrounded with role players. Philly is eventually going to be push come to shove where they're going to be forced to trade Joel Embiid, whether if he wants to stay there or not, because by you trading James Harden, which you're going to have to do, you might as well hit the reset button. You might as well.
Yeah, and at this point, Joel Embiid, he's getting into his 30s, and this is a guy that has had injury problems, especially earlier on in his career. And centers usually don't age the most gracefully. And I think that definitely does play a factor in this, because as he gets older, the injuries may start to creep up more and more. I mean, the dude's 7'1", 290 pounds. Like, at some time, that weight is going to start getting to your knees, and I think that it is something that Joel Embiid definitely has to consider at this point. Like, if the last 2 years weren't going to be the year you did it, then when is that going to come around? Milwaukee's not going anywhere. Boston, they're not going anywhere. The Cavaliers, they're coming up. The Knicks are coming up as well. The Hawks, you hope they can break into that mold as well. And the Philly, they seem to just be treading water right now and not really making any steps to improve or make any steps to get better. And
where should he go, though, if he does request a trade?
Where should he go? Well, our guy Dari a couple weeks ago. ATL, I would love that. You know, that would be the all-in move that we need to make.
That would definitely form the big three that we need.
Yeah, definitely. But honestly, I think Dari, a couple weeks ago when we interviewed him, and after the interview, he said that he wanted to see Joel Embiid go to Golden State. And, hey, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, like, Golden State has never had a center quite like that, especially paired with Steph Curry. So I think that would be very fun. The New York Knicks, I said this a few weeks ago, that the Knicks are probably going to be all in for Joel Embiid to recreate, the dynamic they had in the 90s when they had Patrick Ewing, especially now that they have a good supporting cast to surround Joel Embiid. They're just kind of missing that star player.
I wouldn't count on it.
So, yeah.
Because, honestly,
the Knicks got assets.
Yeah, but they do have assets. But in case some of you may have forgotten, when the Knicks were this close and they could pull the trigger of getting Donovan Mitchell. Now, of course, Joel Embiid is a better player than Donovan Mitchell, and to me, I would rather build around Joel than Donovan Mitchell. But you were right there to trade for him, and you did it. And I'm pretty sure that Knicks fans regret that. They may do it right this time. They may get it right if they have a solid chance of trading for Joel. Now, I did hear a rumor that the Rockets would be a team if Joel Embiid were to request a trade.
Rockets. But it seemed like the Rockets, they just wanna just zoom past this rebuild. They're over it.
I think they did it pretty quick. With the signings that they had with Fred VanVleet and those guys. So, but I don't think that I don't think that's the sexiest place to go to for Joel. But I'd rather see him in a Knicks uniform.
That just seems like it would be the same kind of team he would have in Philly, right?
Is that it? Well,
in a harder conference.
Yeah, it would, but a little more talent though, but not enough to say this team is a championship contending team or make it to the Western Conference Finals. I don't think they would be that kind of team if they do or if they were to trade for Joel Embiid. But I think it's going to be where Philly is going to make him available. Just the simple fact that I don't think this relationship with James Harden is going to reconnect or be restructured or built up again, and with him being gone, then Joel is the next man now.
I can't see him just pressing the button though. I think the only way they really make him available sometime this year is if Joel Embiid comes out and says he wants to get traded. If they trade James Harden, they're going to try to make a win-now trade to still be competitive, and they're going to keep riding Embiid till the wheels fall off. He is the last remaining piece from that process they started over 10 years ago, and I don't think they're just going to give that up.
Yeah, but my whole thing is this right here, though. When the Spurs traded DeJounte Murray here. Now, I'm not sure if Murray would have liked to stay in with San Antonio if they were not to trade him, but the main reason why they did is because they knew they were going into a rebuild. They knew they weren't going to go anywhere, so you might as well trade him where you can get assets back so that you can go into a successful rebuild. When I look at Philly, as I mentioned, James Harden is most likely going to be gone, so you're in with Philly. Is Philly going to be a top 3 or top 4 seeded team with Joel being there? I don't think they will. Are they going to make it to East Conference Finals? I don't think they will. Are they even going to win a championship? I don't think they will.
I don't think you could sell that to your fan base, though. I don't think you can
already
sell
know,
that.
You already know Philly fans are one of the worst fans in the league.
Exactly.
When the Hawks beat Philly in Game 7, you heard the boos coming out, throwing beer cans on the court. I mean, you don't really have that support unless they're really like in it, unless they're really like winning games.
But that's my exact point. If you try to go up to these Philly fans and tell them, hey guys, look, we tried it with the process and just didn't work. Oh well, we're trading the MVP. Oh well, guys, we're hitting the reset button. You think those fans are just gonna take that lightly? They are not going to buy any tickets.
They didn't take it lightly when the Hawks beat Philly in Game 7. I don't think they even took it lightly when they lost this series because they were up 3-2. They were one game away, and in Game 6, and they almost had it, and they blew it. So all I'm simply saying is, okay, what was Philly's mission? They said that, okay, with James Harden here, they feel like they are a championship contending team. But with that relationship with James Harden, as I mentioned, I don't think that relationship can be repaired. Mm-hmm. So when you do trade James Harden and you're still with Joel, then if your mission is to win a championship, okay, you're going to do that with Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and a bunch of role players. With Mo Bamba and those guys.
Yeah, that's the logical take.
So it's like, okay, you might as well hit the reset button, and of course, a lot of teams will be interested. And this will be the right time to trade Joel Embiid where you can get real value. But again,
I'm
not saying, okay, I'm just gonna ball up Joel Embiid and just toss him out there and just be done with it. But I mean, if you're able to keep Joel Embiid and if he wants to stay here, then that's fine. But I'm saying, as far as the team's best interest, if your goal was to win a championship and if you're not gonna reach that goal, now unless you're 100% certain that
Tyrese Maxey's the guy and him and Embiid can lead you to the championship.
Or unless you're able to go out and get top tier free agents or trade for another guy to where you still have that window, then by all means go ahead and do so. But I don't think that's a realistic option. So that's the only choice that you got.
Like I said, that's the logical choice, not just for Philly, but for Joel Embiid. I think you are right. The writing appears to be on the wall. I think what's going to keep Embiid there is just emotional side. It's going to be Embiid isn't going to want to just leave after all these years. He's probably going to want to remain loyal to the city and the team for at least the next year. And Philadelphia, I don't think they have the stomach to just go to their fans and say, hey, we can't get it done. We're not going to win a championship. We're trading our MVP. We're going to get as much assets as we can. I think Utah, they did that last year because their fans were probably going to be more receptive to it, and they were. But Philly fans, I don't know.
But I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Utah. I mean, they could have traded just one of them between Rudy and Donovan, but then they knew that with all the turmoil that was going on, they knew none of that was going to be repaired, so they had no choice but to trade all those guys. So, I mean, again, Joel Embiid, he's the reigning MVP, so I'm not saying they should trade him right now, but when push comes to shove, it's either Joel's going to make that decision where he wants to trade and wants out, or if Philly recognizes, like, hey, Joel, he's in his late 20s, going into his early 30s, the clock is ticking, we know we're not going to do anything, so we might as well trade him where we can get some real value back and hit the reset button. And that's just the best interest of the team.
I think the former is going to happen. I think it's going to have to be Embiid, simply because even if the GM, even if Daryl Morey probably recognizes that, I don't think Philly's owner is going to go for that. He wants to sell tickets. So I think he's going to just try to ride this thing till the wheels fall off, or until Joel Embiid becomes the bad guy and says, hey, I want to trade out.
He wouldn't be the bad guy.
To Philly fans, he would. They would absolutely turn on him if he did that.
But then again, what has Philly done ever since he got there? They have not done anything at all. Nothing at all. Nothing. So, I mean, we'll see.